Welcome to the Bird Gang Nation Sports Media Show, repping the greatest team of all time. Let's go! Bird Gang 31, he be the host with the most. We going deep, burning teams. They ain't nothing but toast. It's Senior Estes. Sirianni put me in coach, running like Miles Sanders till I bump my head on the post. Touchdown! Yeah, that's coming. Devontae's crazy route running. Jalen Hurts and them throwing lasers. The regular young gunning. Come on! On the D side, we ride, sack him with Fletcher, lay him out on the stretcher. No one can protect you. Watch Darius sling him, shutting down your routes. Come on! In my green John, eating Philly cheesesteaks. Put up your cups, wings up, if you can relate. Tailgating at the link like Gangsta Stride. To the Bird Gang Nation, that's worldwide. On Sundays, catch the pre and post game. Mondays is Birds on Broad Street with Philly Notion and Cool Cat, the man in motion. And Wednesdays, the midweek special got you open with JC from Eagles Talk, hitting like B-Dog, baby.
Welcome to another episode of Bird Gang Nation Sports Talk. I'm your host, Bird Gang 31. Today, Nation, we bring a very special guest back in the building, Mr. MARC FARZETTA. How you doing today, my guy?
I'm doing fantastic. I got both kids in bed already. The missus is out about town for a little work party, and I'm here chilling with you. So life couldn't be better, my friend.
Hell yeah, man. That's what's up. Got all your house duties done first before you get the work in, you know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna go straight to the point, man. Like, how you feeling, man? How you like this offseason? I know we talked after the draft. Anything's changed? What have you liked? What have you not liked from things you heard out of Eagle Nation?
Obviously, since we talked last, they added James Bradbury. They added some more depth at the safety position. I am a big fan of what the Philadelphia Eagles could do in the upcoming season. Tell you how I feel, the best way to cut to the point, as you would say, is simply to say that the Eagles are going to win the NFC East. I have zero doubt in my mind they're going to do that. Let me go ahead and give the obligatory if they stay healthy, but they got depth on this team. They got depth on the offensive line. They certainly have depth at wide receiver. They have a pretty solid tight end in Dallas Goedert. I mean, they got guys that can put them over the top. So I absolutely think the Eagles could at least win 11 games this year. I think if they win 12 or 13, that will guarantee them the NFC East. Offensively, defensively, they are a complete team. When you look at just the strong safety position, yeah, sure, they can still upgrade. But right now, I'm looking at this team as complete as you could expect them to be going into the season.
Yes, man. I've been telling everybody that, man. This is the season to be excited. This is the season to be pumped and be happy to your fans. You know, I keep telling everybody, we never been paper champs before. And I feel like this offseason, we are paper champs, man. You know, this is the season of Euro notice of what the Eagles should do. We're top 10 in a lot of areas of football right now. You know what I'm saying? That's not normal for us. Usually we have the good team that, you know, outperforms what our expectations throughout the season, you know, comes back in situations we think they can't come back to do big things. And I think this year is a total difference. You know, we're months away from the season. Well, now we're about a month away from the season. But before, when we had this team, we were months away from the season with the talent already on the roster. And I think that's going to be pay big dividends moving forward in 2022. You know, there's a couple of players, man, I think that's been getting a lot of notice, you know, recently. You know, Marcus Epps, you know what I'm saying? Like the safety, like you said, you could say we're low in the safety if you want to find a weak link because we're not sure of. You can say the strong safety position. You can say the running back position, even though we have Miles Sanders, Gainwell, and, you know, Boston Scott. But Marcus has been playing some good football. You know, that's what they said in camp. He's all over the field. he's a terror. How do you really feel? Because I know last season I was not a Marcus Epps fan. He actually grew on me as the season ended. But how do you feel about Marcus?
I think that Marcus Epps will be serviceable, and I think that's what he's been through the vast majority of his Eagles career, although not ever really a starter. He's got a couple of things going against him. One, his background. He's a hustler. Yes, of course, that's great, but it's not somebody that you're waiting to break out with a Pro Bowl season or anything like that. He's filling in for Rodney McLeod, who was a pretty damn good leader and strong safety to boot on the football field. So he's filling some big shoes, some big roles there for the Eagles. He has been a guy that has had promise, but I think the Eagles are on the same page as the vast majority of the fan base when they look at that position and say, we need to upgrade that position. If he goes out there, he has a good camp, he understands what his role is going to be on this team, I think that, yes, they will have some success. Now, he'll be graded a little bit on a curve here because, like you were saying earlier about the running backs are in a similar situation. You have a great offensive line in front of you, one of the best in football. That should make things easier for your running backs. Well, on the other side of the football, for your strong safety, if you're the deepest man on the field, and that's going to be the role he's playing in this defense, then your job's going to be pretty easy if your defensive line, which is also pretty great, is getting after the quarterback. And that's not saying that Jonathan Gannon is going to show us something, is going to be some incredibly over-aggressive defensive coordinator. That's not happening. But with this defensive line, with Jacoby Dean, with TJ Edwards, who had a very, very much under-the-radar solid season last year, and Hassan Reddick, I think your front seven is going to make things very easy for your secondary in general, let alone a strong safety who you might be asking to do the least amount of anybody else in your defense. So I think all that will make Marcus Epps go into a spot that will ultimately set him up for success.
Yeah, and at the same time, I love how you put that point. People got to realize our defense got better. The defense line got better and more deep. The linebackers got tremendously better. That's less pressure on that one position. You know what I'm saying? You could say, everybody's hoping Harris starts because I like what Harris did at the end of the season last year. So you're looking at the Epps versus Tart. But either one of those guys, like you said, as long as you are serviceable, that should be all you need to be in the defense. You're not going to have 22 starters be all star players. That just doesn't usually happen. And I think that's where we're at Eagles fan. We're trying to make all the positions star players so we don't have no worries about it. And that just doesn't happen in football. So the fact that, we have to stretch and try to find spots this week so we can talk about and do videos on to figure out, who's going to be at that position is crazy. Because even Tart from San Francisco, that's a good football player. He's a veteran.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm interested to see who ends up being the two-star starting safeties out of that bunch. I heard Kayvon Wallace is having a good, camp there. So it's we got young and we got a couple of veterans in there. Let's see which two, comes out of that bunch. But I think there'll be more than two of them playing throughout our mixed defense. I see somebody ask earlier, what kind of defense do you think the Eagles are going to run? From what we hear so far, they've been mixing it up. What do you think they're going to do?
I think they're going to do just that. I think they're going to be a base 4-3 defense. I think they're going to run a 3-4, but I think it'll be more like a 3-4 under. You're going to have that predator type role out there with the guy going after the quarterback. I don't want to say this name because he scares the hell out of everyone when I say this name, but I think schematically you're going to see something very similar to a Billy Davis style defense, who was the defensive coordinator under Chip Kelly. That is in no way, shape, or form to say this defense will be that porous or that poorly run, but in terms of being a 3-4 that is closer to a 4-3, I think you're going to see a lot of that. And look, Connor Barwin put up some good numbers in that type of defense. I think Hassan Reddick will take over that role I shouldn't say take over. That makes it seem like it was last year Connor Barwin was playing. But I think he'll be in more of that role of being that predator, going after the quarterback, being aggressive. I always go back to Hassan Reddick in his introductory press conference with the Eagles, talking about how when he was asked about what makes him the best, how is he at his best? When is he at his best? And he said, when I'm going after the quarterback, when I'm allowed to play fast. I'm a fast football player. Let me play fast. Let me get in the backfield. Let me get the tackles for loss. Let me make the quarterback think I could be coming on the very next play after I already came on the previous play. So I think that will be what will lend itself to the success of this football team and what will make Hassan Reddick have a successful first season in Philadelphia. Same thing to be said for Jacoby Dean, running up the middle. behind some guy he knows very well, the Eagles' first round pick in Jordan Davis. They had a lot of success in Georgia doing the same thing. Let them eat at the NFL level doing the same exact thing because they'll have success doing that. So I think what you're looking at is a 3-4 under more than anything. When push comes to shove, I do think you'll see them go back to where a lot of their guys are already more comfortable in that 4-3 defense. But I think you're going to see a lot of 3-4 under as the season goes on.
And speaking of that, like Jordan Davis, man, I know we talk about it every time I'm on here with you. You know me. Jordan Davis is a monster, man. I've heard he even got some first team reps in there a little bit, just to see what he can do, man. Do you think people are really sleeping on Jordan Dean?
They might have.
I mean, Jordan Davis. I don't know why I said Jordan Dean. Jordan Davis.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Yeah, no, that'd be great if him and Kobe Dean were brothers.
Right?
They're just that close. No, but in all seriousness, I think if you were sleeping on Jordan Davis, then you must have been high off your ass on, like, what do you call it? Dramamine, whatever you take. I don't know. But he's a first-round pick, number one defense in college football, won a championship. Like I said, first-round pick, going to an Eagles defense where he's going to be taking over for a guy like Fletcher Cox eventually. So if you were sleeping, you were out pretty hard. I think with this training camp getting underway, with the amount of attention he has gotten so far, I think nobody is sleeping on Jordan Davis at this point. The guy is a loud, boisterous guy. You saw him singing during the rookie karaoke contest there at the NovaCare complex. And yes, he is a monster. I saw the picture he put out there the other day of him signing an autograph for what looked like a 5-year-old. I was going to joke that it was really Jordan Davis standing next to Jonathan Gannon because he is that much of a monster of a human being. But I think he is going to move mountains. And I love the idea of him not just learning from Fletcher Cox, but also learning how to beat one-on-one battles with opposing offensive linemen. When Jason Kelsey, who is a Pro Bowl center, is already coaching you up on how to win one-on-one battles in the nose tackle position, and you're lined up over a center, that's a lot of helpful information that a young man who's already pretty damn talented will use for the rest of his career. So if you're still sleeping on him, I think he's going to give people a huge wake-up call when he steps on the football field for the Philadelphia Eagles this year.
Do you think he starts?
I don't think he starts. That still belongs to Fletcher Cox. I think you're still going to see him in that nose tackle position. When you do see the 3-4 under, I think you're going to see him play maybe a run-stuffing type of offense. You'll see him in goal line, but I don't think he'll be a starter.
I think he gets sacks. His sack numbers will be up. Because people don't realize, for me, we seen the impact that Fletcher Cox had on our football team when we drafted him, right? This guy played for a better team. He's bigger, faster, stronger. The only guy I ever seen stand next to Fletch and make him look like a little kid. Like, that's crazy in itself because of how dominating Fletch has been. You think of the top two defensive tackles, you go Fletch, Aaron Donald for years. You know what I'm saying? Like, Aaron was smaller, more, agile, get to the quarterback a little bit better. Fletch is that run stopper, big guy. And then you got a guy that's bigger and faster than both of these guys coming into the league. You know what I'm saying? Like, the sky's the limit for that guy. I think people are really underestimating the impact he can. And I think he gets some sacks this year.
No, I definitely think he does. The only thing that makes me doubt that a little bit when I kind of weigh the options here is that let's not forget Fletcher Cox has made his living by being a defensive tackle who gets after the quarterback. And the most pissed off Fletcher Cox was last year was when he flat out called out his defensive coordinator after that Raiders game saying, look, man, I get paid to get after the quarterback. I don't get paid to stop the run. I think he'll get his opportunities in passing downs to get after the quarterback and get those sacks, especially if they're trying to rush to the outside to stop a guy like Hassan Reddick or stop a guy like Josh Sweat, who I thought had a breakout year last season. Stop another guy like Brandon Graham coming off of injury, hopefully coming back with a vengeance. Fletcher Cox will get his coming up the middle for the Philadelphia Eagles as well. That's the only thing that makes me think he might get a couple of more sacks than Jordan Davis this year.
Nice. You think Fletch stays past the trading deadline?
I do. Look, regardless.
I take there. You got Harvey Milton coming through the building. You still hear good stuff about Milt Williams' development. And it is his second year, and then you got hopefully Marlon can finally get on the field this year. You know what I'm saying? We got some other Ellis. We got some other DTs that are young and promising too to move up. Do you think the Eagles make some move while they still have value from instead of letting them go at the end of the season for nothing?
No, I mean, you sign him to a $14 million deal. That's going to be difficult to move. So I don't think money alone. I mean, yes, talent-wise, where he's at in his career, what I'd like the Eagles to do, absolutely, you're hitting on all points. But the money, I don't think you're moving that money at the trade deadline. I don't think they're signing him to that deal with the intent to trade him. They're signing him to keep him for this season with a rookie like Jordan Davis, because you can afford it with a rookie like Jordan Davis. And then after this year, they just part ways, because at that age and that money, they're not going to get much for him anyway.
Yeah. Hey, let's jump over to the offensive side real fast. Like, Quez Watkins says he's the fastest man in the NFL. What was your first thought when you heard that?
Good for him. I want every one of my receivers to be the most cocky SOB that has ever walked across the planet. So, yes, please, by all means, be that guy. And you know what? When you catch the deepest pass in football last year, 98 yards against the Chiefs, I believe it was, then, go ahead out there, man. Stick your chest out a little bit. Everyone's talking about A.J. Brown being here, and everyone's talking about Devontae Smith, the first-round pick and all that. No one's talking about Quez Watkins. So go ahead. Stick your chest out a little bit. Be loud about yourself. Be proud.
Do you think it's a true statement, though, with guys like Tyreek Hill in the league? Do you think he can beat Tyreek?
True statement? No. But that's what makes it so much fun.
You don't think so?
Who cares if it's true?
I think he might give him a run for his money.
No way it's true. No way it's true.
You don't think so?
That
was his only big skill, was being fast.
Yes.
At first. Now he done sharpened up that pass route stuff. I think I would like to see this. I would like to see Tyreek and Quez run now.
All right, go ahead. Prove it now, or prove it during the season. But right now, I do not believe it. Do I love that he said it? Hell yeah, I love that he said it. But I don't think he's as fast as a guy like Tyreek Hill. Forget him. Absolutely not. He might not even be the fastest guy on his team. But for me, yes, believe it, baby. Take that into the regular season.
Nice. Hey, do you think, because I had this question up earlier on like one of the previous podcasts, do you think it's possible, and I'm not saying touchdowns, I'm not saying receptions, but Quez leads this team in yards? You know, you think about the scenario now. You know, if Miles Sanders does what he says and the running game's looking good, most defenses are going to double team AJ, you know, or Devontae, for that matter. You know, they're going to pick up their poison on either receiver. Quez is that third receiver. You think it's possible that Quez has less receptions but more yards than these guys, since he is that burner that can get down the field and stretch the field out?
Possible, yes. Likely, no. And the only reason I say that is because as much as I believe that Jalen Hurts has improved from last year to this year, I don't see him improving on his deep ball that much. I think Quez Watkins will be more of that deep threat down the field. Hey, it could absolutely happen. I just don't think it's likely, being that you're going to have Dallas Goedert underneath. You're going to have Devontae Smith running crisp routes as well on those slant routes. You're going to have A.J. Brown, who's already made a career doing all this throughout his entire career. I would love to think Quez Watkins will be that guy, but I think he'll be constantly relied on as the guy to take the top off the defense. So I don't think he'll probably have the most yards per catch. That I'll agree with. But at the end of the season, total yards, no.
He got third-string cornerbacks, linebackers, and safeties guarding him. He's the fastest man in the NFL.
Yeah.
To me, that tells me right there. You think about it, look at Dallas, right? Before they got rid of Coop. Coop was like the AJ. Sure. You know, CD was like the Devontae. And Gallup was like Gallup got 1,000 yards, didn't he, with Dallas? He got 1,000 yards with Dallas. There's been a lot of third receivers that end up with the big yardage out there. You know what I'm saying? I think if Jalen does take that progression, that could be a thing that can happen. Just off of like, you know, the whole Deshaun Jackson effect. You're so fast, you're so, you know, talented in what you do that it's like when you're playing with lesser talent, you're open and you make things happen. I think Jalen will take that step. Farzy, since you had to bring up the Jalen Hurts thing, you know how I feel about him.
Look, we've had this argument before. Not even an argument. We've agreed on this. I have no problem with Jalen Hurts' arm strength. It's accuracy. Jalen Hurts' arm strength is fine. I mean, he's not a gunslinger by any means, and I'm happy he's not. But in terms of a guy that just needs to be more accurate, yes, he needs to be more accurate. In terms of a guy that needs more arm strength, hey, everyone could use a little bit more arm strength, some more than others, and Hurts, I think, would fall more in that category. But his arm strength is not a problem. The accuracy is a problem. The deep ball, I think, will come. Like Donovan McNabb, for all the things you can say about Donovan, he threw the best deep ball I've ever seen. Yeah. Like it was a shot out of a cannon, accurate deep ball, and that was whether it was to Todd Pinkston or to Terrell Owens. So don't give me that he was throwing it to one guy for that one season. That's not it at all. But a guy like Jalen Hurts, I would love to see get to that level of being able to air out the football, bomb it downfield, and have precision on it as well. Like a guy like Nick Foles, for instance, didn't have great arm strength, but he was accurate, especially when he was on. He was very accurate. Jalen Hurts can fall more into that category, I think, as his career grows.
Yeah, man. Hey, Jalen Hurts is going to be. You think he can be that MVP candidate this year? Like, if he takes that. Like, listen, I'm not saying Jalen's going to be the best passer in the league, period. But I feel like if we look at his numbers last year, they made him a Pro Bowl alternate for a reason. You know, that was nice numbers. And, like, for the doubters, you know, especially when people make these lists, that's one thing I don't understand about these lists that's going on. Top 40, top 20, whatever you want to say. This guy has got the most yards out of any other quarterback in the first 20 games. So why can't you at least say that he's better than half of the players in the NFL? Like, on my list, he's 12. You know, I can think of 11 other quarterbacks that probably are better than Jalen Hurts, but I can't go too much farther than that. You know, most people's list is like 17, 19, that range. But some of those players, I feel like none of those players, for one, none of them, even number one, none of them did what he did in the first 20 games. And that's really what you only can judge him off of is those first 20 games. You know, you wanted to talk about Josh Allen, and these Sheen stats come up that he had better numbers than Josh Allen. Carson Wentz, Michael Vick, you know, Donovan McNabb, like all these players that you like, hey, you're seeing them go against it. He has better numbers where he's at in his career now. So I don't understand the skepticism.
Because he wasn't a top pick, because he was a second-round pick, because he was drafted to be a backup. I mean, that's why there's skepticism surrounding Jalen Hurts above all else. And look, we watched him throughout his first year as a regular starting quarterback in the NFL. We saw points of his game that were hurt. And here's the other part about it. And I don't think this part's talked about enough. And I want Jalen Hurts to be the starting quarterback here for the foreseeable future. I'm rooting hard for this guy. I think not only do you always want the quarterback of the future to already be on your roster, you want him to be a guy that has a work ethic like him, a guy with the athletic ability like him, a guy that is willing to, you know, really put in that work. But it's never a good thing if you're a starting quarterback in the NFL and your coach says, all right, you know how we're going to be more successful? Less of you, more of the run game. That's how we're going to win football games. That's not exactly a vote of confidence, and it wasn't talked about nearly enough last year. Now, again, that's a first-year regular starting quarterback in the NFL that has a lot of room for growth, has a work ethic to do it, has certainly shown flashes of being a better quarterback than we saw throughout the first year as a starter. If this is a pass-first offense again, it's because Jalen Hurts has taken the proper steps forward. I believe for two reasons. One, the work ethic, obviously. Two, the talent level that he showed you. And I'll even throw in the third. This is probably even more important. The fact that they have built up around him with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Quez Watkins, fastest man in the NFL, and a pretty damn good offensive line in front of him as well. So for me, I think those three reasons will propel him over the top and make him more of a, maybe more of that top 10, top 12 quarterback in the NFL.
And do you think, like, I know people say that a lot, though. They're like, oh, they had to dumb down their offense. They had to simplify the offense for Jalen. Do you really feel like that was really what was the case that happened last year? No. I really feel like he had to learn balance. Like, when you look at our offensive line, for me, I see a run-first offensive line. You know, there's finesse tackles in the league, you know, the thinner, more athletic ones that kind of like, you know, good at the pass block, pass pro type thing. But we have beasts on our offensive line. These are a mountain of men. You know, their job is to road grade and move people, you know, move mountains up there, except for Jason Kelce, but he's the best, one of the best to ever do it. So you give him a pass. You know, he just realized that was our strength. You know, he just realized that that's what we built our team to be, is that run first guy, you know. And I feel like that was okay because Jalen Hurts was a running quarterback as well. He's a dual threat. You know, some of those games that he had more rushing yards and he had low pass numbers, if you watch some of those passes he made in that game, they were still nice passes. He just led that game on his legs. I think people give him negative marks for that as opposed to looking at it as like, at least your quarterback can do both.
You know, I don't, and I've had this argument with people, I don't look at Jalen Hurts as a guy that looked to run too much in his rookie year, or excuse me, his first year as a regular starter. I don't look at him at that at all. I thought a guy picked his spots to run, but I always thought he went through his progressions and either didn't have the play or thought he didn't have the play and then took off. I never thought that it was a guy like Colin Kaepernick or a guy like Alex Smith early in his career that was in that type of offense, drop back and nothing, you know, first guy's not there, go. I don't think he was ever that type of quarterback. With that being said, I do think it needs to be faster, reading what's in front of him, then delivering the football. If I can snap my fingers and make Jalen Hurts substantially better at two things that he wasn't very good at his rookie, his first year as a starter, it would be dissecting what's in front of him and then delivering an accurate pass once he dissects that. So going through his progressions, seeing what the defense is giving him, and taking it with an accurate pass. Like I said, I think the ultimate measure of whether or not Jalen Hurts got better from what he was last year to this year will be whether or not the Eagles become a pass-first team as opposed to that run-first team that we saw for the majority of the second half of the season.
What's your percentage? What percentage do you think will be a good balance for the Philadelphia Eagles in terms of run pass? And then how many passes do you think Jalen needs to throw in a game?
That's
like, I know some games can lead you one way or the other, but what do you think would be a good comfort zone that you would like to see him throw?
Typically speaking, in today's NFL, you're talking about a 65-35. You're talking about that type of offense, 65% pass, 35% run. But I'll give you the better scenario. Let's say Jalen Hurts has done some 20 passes in a game. It's the fourth quarter. It's tight. I see him driving the football down the field. The score is tight, I'm saying. I want to be able to watch him as the season goes on and feel like, doesn't matter, we always have a chance to win. You're within 10 points in the fourth quarter. You're within 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. I want to have confidence that Jalen Hurts will put together drives to put points up on the scoreboard quickly. That's what I want to have. That will be, I think, the real measure of his success is if we go into a game and this team is losing, that Jalen Hurts can bring it back. That's what I want to know. A good passer, a good quarterback will be able to do that for you. And I think if Jalen Hurts does that, I think he'll change a lot of people's minds about what his future will be here in Philadelphia.
But would you say he did that a little bit last year? We
saw a little bit of it last year.
Okay. Some people act like they ain't never seen none of it.
You got some pretty big plays from your defense. You got some pretty big plays from your running backs behind this offensive line. And yes, you had a couple of good, big plays from Jalen Hurts as well. But I don't think people watched him last year thinking, in the fourth quarter, this guy, because Jalen Hurts, he's going to lead him back to a victory. No, I don't think they'll look that.
But he did it though. A couple of games. Remember, a couple of games he left the field with the lead. We came back. He left the field with the lead. The defense gave it up. I could blame a couple of those games on Barnett penalties late. You know what I'm saying? Like continuing drives at the end that ended up costing us the game. So it's like I feel like he done it. He's already done it. Like, and the expectations of it is like you still got to keep it in parameters of it takes quarterbacks 2, 3, 4 years to actually be elite. But he did good that first year that he was out there doing it. Like, yeah, he didn't do it every single game, but thinking about the game that he had that crappy game, and people like to bring up the Giants game last year. He had a horrible game, that Giants game, but guess what? Yeah. He threw 3 touchdowns at the end of that game that were dropped. Mm-hmm. So no matter if we caught one of those touchdowns, we win the game. And you don't think so much about how crappy of a game he actually played.
Sure. No, I absolutely agree with that. But I think going into this year, he's again competing with multiple first-round picks in next year's draft, and people are going to be looking at the incoming quarterback class. And I think ultimately, the Eagles will have to make this decision because they're going to have to pay the man at the end of this season. If he's not a guy you have 100% confidence in, or at least 90% confidence, no matter what, in fourth quarter it's close, Jalen Hurts is our quarterback, then he won't be that guy. I think he will be that guy this year. For the record, I do think he will be that guy. I think he will prove himself. I think through his work ethic, through his familiarity in the system, which is obviously a big start. I mean, the guy hasn't been in the same system since his dad was his high school football coach. So I think that also plays into it. It's not one of the factors I mentioned earlier, so you can add that as a fourth reason why I think Jalen Hurts will have success. But ultimately, I think people got to look at it and go, all right, it's a quarter, it's close. Well, we got Jalen. We got the advantage. That needs to be a factor this year.
He started out the season hot. Do you think Howie would be smart to go ahead and pay him in early? Maybe not give him that mega deal, but maybe like a 2-3 years. I was saying a perfect thing would be like $30 million a year, 3 years contract.
I'm
$90 million, $60 million guaranteed. You see what you got the next 3 years. If not, that's not going to tie the organization down for years to come. But it also gives them a chance to keep developing at the rate that he's at.
Yeah, I'm right on the same number as you are as far as $30 million goes, average annual salary. I think it'll be a 4 to 5 year deal, and it'll be one of those deals that people look at and go, "Oh my God!" And then 2 days later, it comes out that they have an out after like the second year. So I think it'll be that type of deal. How he's good enough in contracts to do that. So I think when it comes to the Eagles and what they got going on with the quarterback position, with Jalen Hurts, I think they will end up doing a 4 to 5 year deal for Hurts at about $30 million per. And I think that's reasonable if the guy goes out there and proves himself, which again I think he will.
And before I'll let you get out here, buddy, I need to talk about Miles Sanders. Wardy, how do you feel about Miles Sanders? I hear the biggest talk about Miles right now is, it's a lose-lose situation. He has too good of a season. The Eagles are not going to pay a running back. He has a bad season again. They're either going to let him go. And I look at it as like, the next couple of years, salary cap's going to be going up like $25 million a year. So the money part is not an issue. And obviously, we got Howard Roseman. He knows how to work those numbers. What do you think really going to happen this year with Miles Sanders? Do you think he finally breaks out and be the back that most of us hoped that he'd be, and we're expecting him to be a while ago? Or do you think a guy like Kenny Gainwell, who had a great rookie year for the touches he got, comes in and starts stealing some more of that shine from Miles Sanders?
Well, Miles Sanders is at least going into this season pissed off, and I don't think he's ever done that before. So hopefully that adds motivation to his game, and he could be that special guy that I've certainly expected him to be throughout his career. It just hasn't happened yet. I think he's got great talent. I think he's got incredible talent, but the production needs to be there. I mean, Doug Peterson didn't do him any favors by being such a pass-happy offense in his time here. Last year, even though he was hurt for a lot of it, Nick Sirianni, I thought, was doing a good job in trusting his running backs and trusting his offensive line to make the big plays for this football team. I think Kenny Gainwell will give him a run for his money, no pun intended. But Miles Sanders going into the season pissed off behind yet again another good offensive line. I think if he just hits the hole, if he catches passes out of the backfield, which he struggled with last year, and holds on to the football, then he will have a phenomenal year in the upcoming season. If that leads to a big contract at the end of the year and he holds out, I'm fine with that too. Go ahead and try to get your money, fella. But in the meantime, the Eagles are going to be running with Kenny Gainwell, who I think is going to have a really good sophomore season in the NFL. And we already know he can catch passes out of the backfield. So that lends itself even more so to helping out Jalen Hurts is not just a guy to run the football, but also get open in the flat, get open behind screens, run behind his blockers, and make plays downfield. And I think that's something that will help Jalen Hurts and this offense entirely.
Yes, I believe it, man. I think he actually earns that big contract this year. I think everybody's getting paid this year because I feel like this is a prove year for a lot of people. Prove a year for the vets, a prove a year for the young players. It's time for everybody to prove the coaches, because I think they have the most, responsibility and the most pressure on them this year, that they have to go prove that they are who we brought in to do the job that we think they need to do. And the sky's the limit for the Philadelphia Eagles. I like how you started off, too, by saying Eagles winning the division. I feel like the Eagles is a top 10 team in the NFL, period. Paper champs, you want to call it. We got to see it on the field. I understand that. We got all these young players that are looking to be promising and do what they do. But I just feel like, if you put our roster up against a lot of the roster, we shouldn't lose. All the pressure on the coaches to make sure they get these guys in the position they wanted to do. What they sold us on the beginning of last year, and not have the players to actually do it, where they had to make adjustments, okay, we don't really have these players to be this passing team. We don't really have these players to be this, this style defense. So let's change it up towards the end of the season, see how many wins we can get out of it. Now you do got the players. There's no excuses. Howie went out and did a hell of a job this offseason to bring talent to this team. Let's see what these guys can do.
I'm with you, man. Yeah, I don't see a team certainly in this division that's better than them. There's not many teams maybe in the NFC that are better than them. They will certainly – they have a run in them this year. They will be a legit contender by the end of the year where people will be talking about them as a possible Super Bowl, at least a Super Bowl appearance, if not a Super Bowl champion.
Yes, sir. Your final prediction, you said 11?
I say the worst case, 11 wins. This team can win as many as 13 wins this upcoming season. So, yeah, the Eagles will be a force to be reckoned with this year, my friend.
I love it. Hey, thanks again, Mark, for coming on, man. Go ahead and let everybody know your social media platforms. Go hit that like and subscribe to Mark Fonseca and the Farzy Show.
Yeah, go ahead. YouTube, Farzy Show. Also, FarzyShow.com. Follow me on Twitter at Mark Farzetta, as well as at Farzy Show on social media. We're on all social media platforms, having ourselves a good time. We're on 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. every day, where our new episode drops live every day.
He don't just do Eagles.
Talking everything.
Yeah, he does everything Philly. So he's not just an Eagle. I'll be tripping out. I'll be waking up and Mark's already on live. He's been live for like 15 minutes. Dang, Mark, you get up early and get this day started. But hey, you gotta do what you gotta do, man. Thanks again for coming by. I hope to talk to you some more this season. I know we get some more shows in. And hey, like I said at the end of my videos, fly, Eagles, fly. Till next time, we out. Peace.